I think one of the other tricks to freedom is to not run away from difficult conversations. I think we often think it's easier not to bring it up, and that's the mistake. Because the problem is that silence actually isn't neutral.
No. And it's going to create a different story in your head, because it's sometimes what we tell ourselves and what we think is not reality. Then there's resentment.
Welcome to the latest edition of the Family and Business Podcast. As always, joining me in the chair, Caroline. Hey, Caroline, big week for you.
It has, another big week.
Yeah.
We're getting very close to the Mastermind Intensive.
Mastermind Intensive on the Gold
23rd.
Coast. Yep, looking forward to that, where we spend a couple of days working with our clients and their team. And we're actually going to be talking all about freedom, how to get real freedom out of your business. I reckon one of the tricks to freedom is, like last week we spoke about having productive conversations, but I think one of the other tricks to freedom is to not run away from difficult conversations, right?
Yeah.
And I think sometimes that, like, have you ever found yourself sort of saying that, oh, we don't fight about work, but you know deep down that the reason that we're not fighting about it is because we actually haven't talked about it?
Yeah.
And so they just boil.
Everybody gets shitty at work.
Yeah.
Whether it's your partner or...
Yeah,
it's just human nature.
Yeah, I think for families though, for family and business, you know, like I'm okay having tough I'm actually okay having tough conversations with you because we've been doing this a long time and we know how to do it now. But I don't mind having tough conversations with other business partners, with team members. I've had some very tough conversations with business partners. But I think that with family, if you're in a family business, there's an added thing in there where you go, well, if I have that tough conversation, does that mean that our weekend's going to get ruined?
The hidden costs in there, and the hidden feelings, I suppose.
Yeah.
Keeping the peace can be tricky because you're not just having that conversation thinking, I need to not have that awkward conversation because that's going to affect the weekend, it's going to affect Christmas dinner, it's going to affect such and such's birthday because...
And the relationship... in most cases kind of pre-existed the business in most cases. And so you sort of go, well, I don't want to be in the position that because I'm saying something that I think really needs to be said, then I'm going to be affecting this relationship negatively. But I think there's a really simple way of, I think we often think it's easier not to bring it up, and that's the mistake.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
You've actually got to put it out there because the problem is that silence actually isn't neutral.
No. And it's going to create a different story in your head because it's sometimes what we tell ourselves and what we think is not reality. We're kind of living in a bubble, or then there's resentments or things that aren't actually needed.
And I think sometimes, particularly in a couple, there can be this element of kind of stoicism where you sort of go, well, I'll be stoic, I'll just take it all on, and look, I didn't raise it, and you know what happens? It comes out at the worst possible time.
Yep.
You know, there's an argument about that you didn't pick up milk on the way home or something, and next thing you know, there's this full-on blue about what happened in the business. Not yesterday, not the day before, but for the last 6 months.
And it's amazing because I always remember those annoying things that you do.
You remember what I've done annoyingly for the last 20 years. But you know, so I think the thing about this, if you're in a family business and you want to go, how do I make this business stronger? We often talk about bringing leaders up in the business. This is an opportunity for you to change the way that you communicate, but also teach them new ways of communicating, because I think that what, you know, really strong businesses don't avoid difficult conversations.
No.
But they have a process for how to deal with those difficult conversations. And sometimes I remember having a conversation with a business partner once, and I felt like I was pulling way more weight than he was. And he said to me at the time, like, I brought it up and he went, oh, well, you can just take more money. And I was really disappointed because at the time I went, it's not actually about the money.
No.
You know, I didn't care how many times he put his paw in the honey pot. I just cared that he was actually putting the same effort in. And that was the big thing for me. And I didn't really know how to have those conversations back then.
No.
Do you know?
And if I think taking the emotion out of it and putting the outcome more, or the purpose into it, it's going to be a little less awkward, maybe a lot more professional. With the outcome. So
one of the things that we do in our business, Caroline, with directors in our business and business partners, etc., is we follow a process called Radical Candor. And radical candor, there's two things, I think. There's radical candor, and there's this balance. There's this balance between being candid and being kind. So I think radical candor is just speaking your mind, but it's attacking the ball, not the man or the player, right? It's actually talking about what the issue is, not about what the person is. I mean, I used to sort of, if you're listening to this and you're a parent, you'll get this. Like, there's sometimes that you don't really, it's not that you never love your kids, you love your kids, but sometimes you don't really like their behaviour, right? And it's the same thing with partners and business partners. And Nick's on the other side of the camera, who's my son, going, what? When did that ever happen?
I was always a good child.
Yeah, he was. He was always the golden child. But I think
his eyebrows are lifting.
Yeah, I bet they are.
Very
this
good.
concept of radical candor, for me, is not about running around, throwing your weight around, telling everybody that they're a dick. It's about being truly honest about what is the impact of somebody else's behaviour having on you, right? And I think it's being really honest with it. And if you've got a policy, if you like, of radical candor in your business, you will find that people will, A, feel more comfortable to have those conversations, but they will feel safer in receiving those conversations as well.
Yeah.
Yeah? Because you match that kindness and candor, right?
Yeah. You've got to get to the point that, you can't just fuddle your way through and think that everything's going to be shiny and glossy. You do have to get to the meat in the sandwich.
Yeah, you do. But I think there's this great book called Respect Trumps Harmony, right? And what it talks about is that if you're going to, the way to have radical candor is to have an element of kindness in the conversation. So, like, don't be a dick about it. But the second thing is that if there is respect within the business, and this really gets back to something you and I talk about particularly couples in business, about understanding, like, I respect your role. I'm not going to come into your office and tell you how to do your role. And you respect my role. You don't come in and tell me how to do my role. But we can have a really honest conversation. If I don't think that you're performing at a level that the business needs you to, and vice versa, we can have that conversation because we have that respect. So we don't have to avoid it and try and maintain the harmony so that we don't ruin the barbecue on the weekend, because we've actually got that mutual respect.
Yeah. And it's interesting because when you do those, you come in and you say, hey, I need a little bit more output here. Often it's because I've got a lot of different things on my plate and I just can't see through the clouds. And getting a little bit more, just a couple of hints on, or just offloading a couple of, not just tasks, but offloading some things to get me a bit more organised. Sometimes you're just not organised, and I think I can be the queen of not being organised.
Oh, I think you're being a bit harsh on yourself. We had this conversation yesterday where I actually said to you, hey, Caroline, on this stuff you're working on, you need to be across this better, right?
Yeah.
You need to be across this better. And now that was designed to help you, because it didn't really have a massive impact on me whether you were or whether you weren't. But I felt that you needed to be across it more. But I think the next thing we said was, Caroline, you need to be across this more, but what can I do to help you with that?
Yeah.
And you're able to go, you know what, if you just help me map this out,
Yeah.
because I'm just getting myself confused.
Yeah, and I 100% was. There were about 3 different things. No, actually, it was more than 3. It's probably about
10
20
different
things
Yeah.
that were going through my head. And then, you've got, like everybody in business, you've got somebody coming to your desk wanting some information, and then you're just like, can't say what I was thinking.
But as soon as we put it on the whiteboard, and I came in with objectivity and a bit of a helicopter view, which is kind of what we do as coaches, right? I mean, that's the great benefit I think that we bring to our clients' businesses is we come in with a helicopter view. We get to see the things that they're potentially not seeing, being an unreasonable friend, etc. But I came in and went, okay, let's just whiteboard this out. And suddenly I kind of watched the cloud lift off you. But we were able to have that candid conversation because it was done with positive intent, genuine interest in helping, and an understanding that we are all rowing in the same direction toward the same goal.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you got to have in place.
I felt listened to as opposed to
Berated.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, look,
it wasn't naggy.
We've berated each other over time, but I mean, but what we know is that it doesn't actually achieve anything.
No.
And the truth is, you might go, well, it made me feel better at the time, but you feel like crap, half an hour later when you realise that you've actually been a bit of a dick about it. Well, I do anyway.
Yes.
I don't know if you. Anyway.
Yeah.
But so here's the thing. You can't avoid tough conversations. If you are in a family business and right now you're listening to this and you're going, there's some tough conversations I need to have with my business partner, who's also my life partner, or my brother or my sister or my father or my mother or whatever it might be, whatever the familial relationship might be, it comes down, I think, to the concept of respect trumps harmony. So if you've got respect and you go in respectfully, I think kindness and candor, but radical candor, you've got to be really honest with what's going on. And I think the other thing too, we mentioned last week using I love that 3-part I message that works around behavior, effects, and feelings. So if you've got something to say to somebody, you go, hey, when this happens, which is behavior, it has this impact or effect, and I feel. And once you run with that I feel component, people, because you've used I, not you, people kind of feel less attacked.
Less attacked, yeah. Because you want people to buy into the outcome. If you're going to be attacking, somebody in a conversation, you're not going to get the outcome that is needed.
Yeah, and you don't want to take this stuff home, right? So, again, we're talking about family businesses. If you're in business with your cousin or your brother or whatever it might be, and, you got to catch up with at a family barbecue, you don't want to avoid each other because there's stuff that you feel resentful for. And one of the things that we see often when family businesses break up, by the way, is, and I'm just thinking of some people that we've worked with in family, and the reason the business broke up was because there was just this massive built resentment that had we got involved much earlier, we could have helped them to follow this radical candor, balancing kindness, respect, trumping harmony. If we'd put that process in place, they could have had some honest conversations and probably worked through it. And, the other thing too is I think often if somebody's not doing kind of what you need them to do, they don't realise it.
No. They don't not want to do what you want them to do.
No.
Someone doesn't wake up and go, I'm
They're not trying to burn the thing down.
Yeah, I'm not trying to burn the business down. You might be annoying the poop out of me, but I'm not deliberately sabotaging the business.
Yeah. So I think the really important thing to remember is that the most successful businesses that we've worked with, family businesses we've worked with, it's not the case that they never argue. It's the case that they have a framework for how they have those conversations. They're respectful. They're candid, they're kind, right? And they're prepared to put harmony to one side in order to solve a problem that they're then not going to have to deal with, on the weekend or at
have
home.
a look. If you're feeling you're in a situation where you're feeling a little bit frustrated about your business partners, have a look at it and go, okay, is this a me thing? Is this a communication thing?
Yep.
And have that honest conversation.
Yeah. I think that the other thing about that is that it's not the disagreement that's dangerous, it's the silence. It's because, it just builds up that resentment. And you've got to, and the worst thing you want to do is let it out at a time when you end up arguing about something that you're not really arguing about. That's not really what's bothering you.
No.
Do you know what I mean? And so I think having that simple framework. And so if you're listening to this now, let me ask you this. What is silence costing your business? Or what is this silence costing you in terms of your own happiness, your own contentedness, how good you feel about your family business? And if it is costing you something, this is a great opportunity to go, okay, let me have a really honest conversation where I am respectful, where I am kind, but I'm absolutely candid. And I am focused on the solution and I'm playing the ball, not the person.
Yeah. Sounds a bit Ted Lasso-y for those who
does sound a little bit
Ted Lasso.
It does sound, but it's 100% correct, right?
Yeah.
And that will get you, I think, to a solution, whatever the solution will be. Stay focused on the outcome.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool.
Awesome.
Love
Thank
it.
you.
No, thank you. I just want to say thank you. I
really
respect
appreciate you,
I
Mark.
appreciate you too. Hey, these are the sort of things we help our clients with all the time in our mastermind program. If you are watching this on YouTube, we'd love you to like, subscribe, and please comment below if you've got something that you'd like Caroline and I to talk about to help you solve a problem for you in your family business. If you're listening to this on your favorite podcast provider, again, like, subscribe. If you know someone in a family business who you think would benefit from the things that we talk about in around 15 minutes every week, please share the podcast with them. Until we chat in the next edition of the Family and Business Podcast. Please make sure you spend time with those who matter most.